What is going on, everybody? My name is General Mittens and welcome to my video of my overall impressions on the Crew beta. Now, I was invited to the closed beta, which is very good. I was very happy that I was. However, I didn't get that much playtime. Yes, I was going to school and all that, but the reason I didn't get that much playtime is because the beta is 15 fucking gigabytes, which is fine because it's basically you play in the entire world that they've created, so I would expect it to be quite big, but it was quite painful downloading on UPLAY's shitty fucking downloads. I swear to God, UPLAY does not download properly. It downloads at half the speed that Steam does because it takes fucking ever to download 15 gigabytes. Oh, okay. Anyway, I'm going to stop now, but anyway, so the way I'll set this video out is I'll go over the things that I liked, and then I'll go over the things I didn't like and I think that can be improved on. Now, there is going to be a lot of things I didn't like compared to the things that I did like, but that's because this is a beta and I'm picking out bugs that I found here and there throughout my playtime. So overall, I'd say I got about 6-7 hours of playtime, so I got a decent sort of a view on everything, and I went to I think it's all 6 areas of the map, so they basically split up the map in terms of, you know, Midwest, South, Mountain Range area, what else is there? There's a few others, but I went to basically all 6 or 7 of them. I went to all of them. Yeah, so I've basically explored all the different terrain types that you can go into. So starting off with the things that I did like, one of the main things that definitely stood out to me, this is just a small little detail, but the cars actually exist in real life. Like, all the cars in this game exist in real life. They have a model number, everything. It's modeled after the real life counterpart of the car, which is very much like Need for Speed, but I've played a lot of racing games where you have, well, not just racing games, but games that have cars in general that have these in-game branded cars, you know, like, oh, you can get the Gauntlet Buffalo. Well, no, in this game, you literally buy the Camaro Z28. You know, it's a real life thing, and it just adds that small little bit of realism to the game, which I personally love. I love being able to buy real life cars that, you know, I'd love to drive someday in a game like this, you know. Another thing that's just a small little detail that definitely sort of added to the experience. Now, the second thing that I really liked that stood out was the customization. Not just the way that it worked and the amount of things that you could do, but also the style behind it was very much a Ghost Recon Future Soldier style, where, you know, you try and customize the engine and the chassis and all the parts around the outsides of the body would just like disconnect and fly off into the distance, you know. So it was very much like you were disassembling a car in that Gunsmith, I think it's called, or that, you know, that weapon customization thing in Ghost Recon. But it was a very cool style, and I really liked it. Now, the customization was very user friendly. It wasn't anything like Forza where you customize your rear tire pressure and your front tire pressure, as well as your suspension and all that kind of good stuff. It's sort of arcadey, but in the sense that it's still got that sort of pick and choose element to it. I'm not sure if it's sort of like an MMO with its customization, so you don't, you know, progress in a linear sense. So you don't get level 1 air system, level 2 air system, level 3, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. It might be the sense that you can get an air system that's better for off-roading, or, you know, you can get a better engine that's suited to off-roading. I'm certain that that's the case because there are different classes of cars. You have your street spec, your performance spec, then you have your off-roading and all that kind of good stuff. So you definitely can customize a car to basically anything you want. It does list when you go to buy a car, you know, what they can be customized as, but it definitely adds a whole personalization effect to the whole game. Now, the cars that you get to start off with, there's only really 4 cars that you can buy. You play around with a few others here and there in different missions. So there's Aston Martins that have been, I think, performance spec. There's a Porsche 911 Carrara, I think it is. I can't remember, but it's been off-road spec, so it's got these huge fuck-off tires, and it's got the huge body armor, the flashlights, all that kind of good stuff, and it really, you know, affects the way that you drive. Because I bought the Camaro mainly because I'm a fan of the way it looks, and definitely driving up a hill like a woodland hill on that thing that's been street spec'd is ridiculously hard. So it really does affect the whereabouts you can go. So if you go off-road, you can go on the road and all that, but you won't be as fast, but you can climb over literally everything. So it's pretty cool. The customization also goes into a lot of depth within like interior as well. You can customize the color of your interior, you can customize the material. It's quite customizable in that sense. Again, it's nothing like Forza, but it's definitely a lot better than the recent Need for Speed games, which have been like, you can get bulletproof tires, yay. Or, you can put in engine level 2, yay. That kind of thing. It's very much a personalization effect, so it's not like, get to level 100 and get the best car. You can make the best off-road car or the best street spec car. There's also a skill level, I believe. I can't remember how that works because I haven't played this game for about a week because it's just recently ran out of playtime. But there is a skill tree, I believe, like a perk system, that kind of thing. I'm not sure if it's you can only buy a set amount or if you can literally upgrade everything in the game. But it is there, so it'd be cool to see how it plays out. Now, one other thing that I actually kind of liked was the handling of the cars. Now, I'm sort of on the edge here because I don't know if I actually liked it or I disliked it. The cars definitely felt very heavy. Now, there is a weight system in the game, so when you buy a car, it actually says how heavy the car is. So that probably depends on how much you can skid, how tight you can go around corners, how responsive the car is. But I bought a relatively heavy car, I believe. I think so, because the Camaro actually felt really sort of heavy, and you felt like you were dragging the car along the road, all that kind of stuff. So it was actually quite hard to thread the needle in this game. I don't know if that's because I just chose a heavy car, but it was actually really hard to sort of steer away from traffic, those split-second near misses, that kind of thing. So I don't know if that's just the handling in the game in general, or if it's because I chose a heavy car. Now, one thing that actually surprised me is this game actually has a story. Now, it's basically one of those Need for Speed stories, from like Need for Speed Undercover, Need for Speed Underground, that kind of thing, where it's got, the whole working for the FBI sort of a thing. So, you start off as basically a street racer in this crew called the 510. Now, your brother is basically the main leader of this, and he gets shot or something, and it's been framed that you killed him, and you go into prison for 5 years, that kind of thing, and then you're back on the road because the FBI wants you to catch someone. I don't know, it's something like that, but yeah, it's there for those people that want a story. I really didn't care, to be honest, and that's the first time I've really said something like this. I'm generally a person that pays attention to the story, but I didn't care. I just wanted to explore. I don't know if that's because I was just playing the beta, or if it's because the story is just boring. But yeah, I generally don't care about stories in racing games, to be honest, because I don't really like having to progress by racing, if you know what I mean. That sounds really weird, but especially in an open world game like this, I prefer to just drive around and do whatever the hell I want. I don't really want to go to these certain races in certain areas. I don't want to progress by doing this and that and grabbing cars for people. I just want to do what I want. So gameplay wise, the game is pretty decent. I really like it. I really enjoy the way that it's been set out. Cockpit view actually works. It's really cool. Unfortunately, the mirrors on the car don't actually reflect what's behind you, but I guess that'd blow up the PS4 or Xbox One version, so they can't do it for the PC. I'm just kidding, I just kid. But yeah, I really like the game in general. I think it's a lot of fun. I unfortunately didn't have any mates that actually got accepted into the closed beta, so I couldn't play with anyone. But it seems like a game that you could just muck around with friends. I remember I played Need for Speed Most Wanted, the 2012 version, with one of my mates, and we just pissed around. We really did. We just crashed into one another. We were, mucking about, that kind of thing. Another thing that just popped into my head just then about the customization is that you have on-the-fly customization. So you can quickly swap between, certain... You can't do, full customizations, so you can't do paint jobs, that kind of thing. But you can swap... I'm pretty sure you can swap different systems over, so you can swap the air system over, the tyres over, the body armour over, that kind of thing. So you can get... you can on the fly swap from a street spec car to an off-road car, I believe. So it definitely makes it a lot easier. So it's not very realistic, but it's a game. If you're driving along a street and then all of a sudden you have to go over a hill, the best thing you'd want to do is just literally on the fly just customize it. Boom, you're off-road. Boom, you can drive up a hill. I wouldn't want to have to go to the start menu and click back to HQ, get transported back to HQ, muck around with it, have to go back to where I was, that kind of thing. Oh, another thing that's very good that I just remembered just then was the fast travel system. There is a fast travel system in this game. Now, you can only fast travel to places that you've been, but it's very fast. It is ridiculously fast. I literally went to the map, clicked fast travel to New York, and I went woof, straight into New York. It was crazy. You can also catch planes, which is awesome, but you have to pay for that. So if you don't want to drive, you can catch a plane. I don't know why you would, but you know, it's there if you want to. So overall, I enjoyed the game. I really did. I enjoyed the way that it was set out. I enjoyed the way that it was going. And I definitely think this is worth it just to muck around with friends. Now on to the things I didn't particularly like and the things I believe can be improved. Now, one thing that's definitely going to annoy a lot of PC gamers at the moment is the game is locked to 30 FPS. Yes, it is. Which, for me, isn't quite a deal breaker, but on a racing game like this, I think 60 frames per second is a lot better, and even 120 frames per second for people that have those kind of monitors and all that. Definitely with a sort of a Twitch system like this, where you want to thread the needle through different cars, that kind of thing, it's a lot more responsive at a higher frame rate. Now, there is a way to unlock this frame rate. It's literally just going to the game file, hit frame rate 60, and it'll go straight to 60. I believe it can only go to 60, so it doesn't matter if you put in 120, 1020, doesn't matter what you do, it can only go to 60. So, and I think there's a reason for that, is that the animations can only be doubled in frame rate or something, but there comes a really weird system with this, the breaking of the frame rate lock. It's nothing like Need for Speed Rivals, where the game speeds up, but you can definitely tell that a lot of animations haven't been made for 60 FPS, especially the GPS. So at the top there, you have a blue line. You can probably see it in one of these clips that I'm showing now. But basically, that's like the GPS, so that's where you have to go. You follow that line, you go to wherever you've set your waypoint. However, that thing twitches like a bitch, because what it does is it forms around where you are. So it's like jelly. It's sort of, if you're off-road, it will sort of curve around and smush around into the road, so you can follow it around, and it moves around. It's sort of, it's not static. It reacts to things, that kind of thing, but it twitches around when you go on 60 FPS. It's really weird. It just twitches. That's because the animation is only set for 30 FPS. Same with a lot of cutscenes. The car sort of twitches along. It looks really weird. It's I don't know. I don't think the game was actually meant for 60 FPS, especially on the PC. When you start taking off the wheels, you can see the wheels go at 30 FPS, but the car goes at 60. It's a weird little bug that I think definitely needs to be fixed. They definitely need to upgrade this game to 60 FPS for the PC, because that's going to annoy a lot of PC gamers. And I know a lot of people on the internet, or a lot of people that have PCs that can run PC games, are just not going to buy this at all because it just doesn't run at 60 FPS properly. That is something that definitely needs to be fixed. I think that's the main thing that needs to be done, especially for the PC version, because I personally don't like it. However, it's not a deal breaker for me, but it is for some, so it's definitely something that they need to look into. Another thing that I didn't really not like, but it was kind of disappointing, was the size of the map. Now, basically the trailers made it out to be this huge open world, America. You can drive around all of America, and you can. It's not as big as everyone thought it was going to be. That's not anyone's fault, I don't believe. I haven't really looked into what they've actually said about this game and what they've actually promised, but it's not that big. It takes you about 30-40 minutes to drive from, what was it? It's Detroit to LA, I believe. So it's not that big. It really isn't. However, I do believe there are some races in this game that take 2.5 hours. So if you want to be racing for 2.5 hours, there you go. You can do that. I think that's like a circle around the US. But it's not that big, but still, it's huge. So it's nothing too bad. Now, one thing that I definitely picked up during this game when driving around, I basically visited most of the cities, and it sort of felt like the cities were built around the roads. You can definitely feel that the roads were there, mainly for gameplay purposes, so that you could race through the cities. They weren't realistic size. They weren't, like jammed up with traffic to show that the city, is alive, that kind of thing. It was definitely like they just put buildings around the road. And it felt like, what was it? It's Midnight Club, the one on the PS2 where you can play around in New York. It definitely felt like that. You know, where there's different areas that you can go in a car and jump things and all that. But the city is just built around it and it doesn't feel alive. It just feels like set pieces that have been set up. That's something that I really don't think they can fix because it's just what they've done. Personally, I don't like it. I really don't like the cities. I think they're just boring. There's nothing to them. There's nothing for you to do. And, you know, all they are is just the hub of races. That's all, really. It's just not alive, you know. I guess it's really hard for a car game to make a city feel alive because it's not like you can just, like, get out your car and start walking around. But it just definitely feels like the cities were sort of an afterthought. Not necessarily an afterthought, but more they were thought after the roads were put in. You know, that they put in the roads and then went, alright, yeah, let's put some cities around this stuff. And, yeah, it just doesn't feel that good. I don't know how to explain it, but it just doesn't feel like city, you know, like a city road. And this goes for all cities. This goes for towns, LA, New York, definitely New York. New York feels like lifeless. It is ridiculous. New York's supposed to be filled with taxis and traffic and all that, and it's not. It really isn't. Another thing I didn't like is the police are really easy to evade. Like, I only got caught once, and that's because I drove into the river, and they pretty much arrested me there. But they're so easy to evade. If you're going, like, if you're oncoming towards them and you go past, they, you know, and you hit into them or something, they'll stop, turn around, and by that point you're already, you know, half a mile down the road, and they can't even catch up. So they're very easy to lose. I feel like they shouldn't be. I feel like they should be a bit of a challenge. Not too much of a challenge, but just a bit of a challenge that makes you have to use all your skills and driving and, you know, bash into them and choose things tactically. I don't know. It just feels not hard enough, if you know what I mean. Another thing in this clip here, hopefully if I've got the clip, I can't remember. I've recorded so much that I can't remember if I actually ended up recording this or not. But I was basically, if the clip's not here, I was basically sat next to a police officer at some traffic lights, and I was doing burnouts, and the cop just drove straight past me. He didn't care. He didn't care that I was chucking donuts, that I was doing burnouts, doing illegal things. You can speed right past them, and they won't give a shit. Like, seriously, I was going 120 kilometers an hour in I think it was, 120 is about, what is it, it's like 80 miles an hour or something, in a 50 mile an hour zone, and the cop didn't care. The only time they care is when you start crashing into things. So if you start hitting people, that's when the cops finally react. And even then, you have to hit enough people for them to get called. So it just feels like another afterthought, really. It doesn't feel like they actually went, right, okay, we need a cop system in this game. We need to make it so that, you know, you have to be careful about where you speed, that kind of thing. It's definitely not realistic. It's definitely, the world is built around the player. You know, you're basically allowed to do all this crap. They don't react. They don't do anything, you know, in terms of dealing with illegal activities. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, they feel very bland, I guess. That goes for the city as well. They just feel very bland. Like they wouldn't be too exciting. Now, I found this weird glitch, I think in the Midwest, I think it was. But as soon as I entered the Midwest, the road went all these funny colours. It looked like one of those straps you get, those fruit straps. I don't know if you get them in America, but in Australia we get these little fruit straps that are covered in this white plastic. And they look like that, like the red and green and the, you know, the berries and the apple flavoured crap. And the roads were just flickering. It was really weird. I don't know what happened. I don't know if that was just because they were reacting to the different scenery. But yeah, I got a few good clips of what was happening. Yeah, it was flickering. It was really weird. Yeah, that's just a glitch that could probably be easily fixed. So I just thought I'd point that out because this is a beta and that's what it's made for. So overall, those are my thoughts. I generally like the game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun with friends. However, if you're playing on your own, then it's definitely going to be a bore fest. It really is. You've got nothing to do other than races and progress through the story. The cities are boring. The cops don't really do much unless you crash into them. It doesn't feel alive. The city doesn't feel alive. It just feels like a bunch of roads with different scenery. That's really all it feels like. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some facts out of this if you haven't played the closed beta. If you have played the closed beta, definitely leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts on the game. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to discuss them as well. If you like this video, give it a like. If you want to see more of my videos, definitely hit my channel and check them out. If you like them, definitely subscribe because I do upload quite regularly. So once again, thank you very much for watching this video. My name is General Mittens, and I'll see you in the next video.